Hello everybody, Andrew Field here. I'm sorry it's been a while since I've made a video. I need to get in a better habit with that. I was thinking about making videos every day, but because maybe it'd be, shorter, more precise videos, but we'll see. Um, this one's going to be a longer video, so I have a lot to cover, so let's get into it. So starting off, former presidential candidate Herman Cain was hospitalized with coronavirus 2 weeks after he attended Trump's Tulsa rally. Cain frequently downplayed the risk of COVID-19. Texas Governor Abbott finally mandated wearing face masks. That's a huge deal and was a very good thing, but was it too little too late? It's actually looking to be that way because of how bad Texas is being hit right now with their hospitals and ICU beds being at capacity or close to. The order allows local officials to limit some outdoor gatherings of more than 10 people. Abbott previously prohibited local jurisdictions from imposing mandates. India extended food aid program through November. The coronavirus spread in a Dallas megachurch's choir and orchestra, and then that church hosted Mike Pence. At least 5 members of the choir and orchestra visited by Vice President Mike Pence tested positive for the virus. Pence's Arizona trip delayed a day after Secret Service agents tested positive, a whole group of them. Mexico closed its border in Arizona as coronavirus cases in both countries surge, and Mexico's biggest risk for getting the virus comes from American cases. Um, Republicans and Democrats in Congress have a growing recognition that Congress will need to give out more money to help the American economy during the coronavirus recession. Little consensus, though, is on when it will revive and what it will look like. The Trump administration does not look too engaged on the matter thus far. Um, let's see. Okay, this was a crazy story, but you gotta end up believing it because it's so insane, right? Alabama students attended COVID-19 parties where they gambled on who got sick first, and they intentionally invited COVID-19 positive students. So what you'd expect from Alabama, I think they're ranked last in education and other things. Pretty amazing nonetheless, though. So on July 2nd, the death toll was 131,000 deaths in the U.S. I think it's at least 100. It may be 135,000 now. Um, let's see. A week ago, the highest case number in one day was 57,000 cases. Florida passed 200,000 cases total. Um, a big increase since May or even June. Let's see. The CDC forecasts nearly 148,000 American U.S. coronavirus deaths by July 25th. U.S. is lying. Sorry, Trump is lying when he says the virus is handled, which is what he's been saying. Countries like South Africa are battling COVID-19 and tuberculosis at the same time. Tuberculosis testing is down from worry of coronavirus. 66,000 South Africans die of tuberculosis every year. And the worry with that is if we put, we have to put a lot of pressure on coronavirus, right? Because of how much of a threat it is. But in countries like South Africa, if they put so much like attention on coronavirus, they don't pay attention to tuberculosis as much and they don't test as much because they're not going out as much. And their worry is that diseases like that can spike up because of coronavirus. I also saw that hunger could kill, I think, as many as 1 million people and could be far deadlier than coronavirus because food programs are being shut down and all of this because of coronavirus. So coronavirus has a lot of bad side effects also. 239 scientists urged the WHO to recognize the virus as airborne. I think the WHO was saying there's not enough evidence for that, but these scientists are arguing otherwise. There was a lot going on during the 4th of July. I hope everyone had a happy 4th of July. Um, Sadly, there were large crowds that gathered during 4th of July. Trump basically, sorry, Trump basically claimed that 99% of cases were totally harmless. That's what he said. Trump held a 4th of July fireworks show at Mount Rushmore. South Dakota governor said they will not social distance and did not care. She just said that openly, even though that's pretty stupid, and that should be something you'd want, but I guess she didn't. Trump always is never caring about science. Um, Police arrested Mount Rushmore protesters who protested the event. Native Americans denounced Trump's Rushmore visit because, of course, Trump is always targeting a race. If you look back in the beginning, it was the wall and calling Mexicans rapists, and he was not claiming them to be as good as everyone else. Then it was African Americans and calling the Black Lives Matter mural a symbol of hate and calling the protesters thugs and being against the Black Lives Matter movement. And then he targets Native Americans by hosting this event against their wishes, and Native Americans would be far deadlier. The virus would be far deadlier to Native Americans because they don't have the same resources, and you know they were worried about their safety, and Trump didn't care, so he has targeted three minority groups, and actually a fourth if you think about it, because by calling it a China virus and a Wuhan virus and his derogatory remarks, he's talking badly about Asian Americans, even if they relate to China, and that is causing a lot of hate for Chinese Americans or Asian Americans. So he has been horrible to four minority groups so far. There may have been more, but if that's not enough for you and you still vote for Donald Trump, then you are at least accepting racism, and you probably are racist. And I have no hope then for those people, because racism should not be allowed in this country. And these people, I don't know how they support a racist leader, but the time has come where he needs to go. China reported cases of the bubonic plague. I don't know if I said that right. A disease that caused a Black Death pandemic, which resulted between 75 million to 200 million people to die between 1347 and 1351. Now, obviously, those numbers would not apply here, but because that was the 1300s and technology was not near as it was now. I don't even think medicine was developed, but it's a deadly disease, and it's coming out of China. So it says authorities in the Chinese region of Mongolia are on high alert. So China needs to fix themselves, because it seems like there's so many freaking diseases coming from China. So they just need to like they need to do a better job of containing this, because if China lets out two diseases at the same time, the world could be far deadlier very quickly. Oh yes, the highest level of karma happened in the past week. Brazil's President Bolsonaro tested positive for coronavirus. The guy who didn't wear a mask ever, walked to a crowd without a mask, was telling people not to worry about the coronavirus. I think there's been at least 50,000 that died in Brazil. Brazil, I think, has the second highest death toll in the world. They're still climbing. It's a very bad scene there in Brazil. Likewise here in the U.S. So it's really ironic, and I think it's a good thing that he got it, because he's the one talking down about the virus. So maybe if he gets coronavirus and gets really sick from it, then maybe he'll actually treat it the right way. So Novamax was awarded $1.6 billion by the U.S. government to fast track a potential vaccine in the U.S., with the goal of delivering 100 million doses by January. So that would be very good news. New Orleans test site ran out of tests in 2 minutes. The U.S. doesn't have enough tests to test everyone that wants to get a test, so the amount of people that are currently positive could be a lot higher than we know. Arizona's COVID-19 positivity rate was at 24% a couple of days ago, 3 times the national average, just to show how bad states like Arizona are being hit right now. The U.S. surpassed 3 million cases. I think there's 12 million cases worldwide, so we have about 25% still of the world's cases. about a little bit less, but about. Trump said schools must open in the fall. He called people not wanting to open playing politics. And really, what cruel person has no regard for public health, where he makes everything a political issue? And if, some stupid governors like the governor of Florida are listening to him and they're trying to push for schools to open, and if schools open, even though there's, oh, even though the states are getting hit so bad with coronavirus, that means that hundreds or possibly thousands more will probably die if schools open when it's not the right time. We don't know yet. I mean, August is a long time away, the end of August, when schools are likely to reopen. So, if schools do reopen, though, in areas of the country that are hit really bad, I'm going to feel really bad about those that get sick because it's just going to be a bad scenario. So, hopefully, the situation gets better by the end of August. But if not, I think it'd be better if schools just stay closed because a lot of people will get sick if they open under those conditions. Um, Mary Trump's book is about to come out. It states that Trump cheated on his SAT by paying someone to take it for him. Yes, you heard that right. The President of the United States cheated on his SAT by paying someone else to do it for him. Um, and also, if you did not know, Trump will not allow people to see his high school or college transcripts. So when he says he's a genius wouldn't hide his scores or cheat. Um, Education Secretary Betsy DeVos demanded fully operational schools in the fall, not a matter of if. What an unqualified asshole. Harvard and Princeton announced plans on coming back in the fall. Harvard plans to bring 40% of undergraduates back and would allow students on campus who need to learn in person. I say would, not will, because we don't know if they're going to even open at all. Princeton would allow limited capacity undergrads to come back. And I do like this where they're saying they would not bring everybody back, but they would bring back a part of the student body. But I mean, it does create some problems. The big difference is that Princeton's offering a 10% discounted tuition, while Harvard is still the same price. I'm pretty sure it's like $50,000 a year. So if you're choosing between Harvard or Princeton, you should go to Princeton because I just don't understand how Harvard could, it's such an expensive school, and with the situation going on right now, for them to not lower the price, it's really stupid in my opinion because why would you pay that tuition for Harvard? Let's say the coronavirus is really bad in the fall, which it definitely could be, especially if the flu gets mixed in there. And you go to Harvard, and like a month into the school year, they kick you off campus. A bunch of people get sick in Harvard, so you could end up paying those bills. But even if you weren't sick, you get kicked off campus and everything gets moved online. Oh yeah, by the way, at Harvard, all instruction is going to be online. So you're paying the same price that you did before last year, but it's going to be all online instruction. You could be kicked from campus. You may not even live on campus, but you're going to pay a ridiculous sum of money. It just doesn't make sense to me. There's no way Harvard online could be the same prestigious school as Harvard in person. So for them to not reduce their tuition, I'd say that Harvard's a pretty corrupt organization of a school, that they didn't reduce their tuition at all. So screw Harvard. Princeton said that most academic instruction would be online. Yale University would come back without sophomores on campus in the fall and no freshmen on campus in the spring. That's a pretty good strategy. Baltimore protesters pulled down a statue of Christopher Columbus and threw it into the harbor. Black militia showed up at Stone Mountain, Georgia. They baited for armed conflict with right-wing militia, and they call themselves the NCAP, the Not Effing Around Coalition. Whew. All right. Yep, it's finally happened. He said he was going to run in 2020, then 2024, and then 2020 again. Kanye West is officially running for president. Now, for anybody who votes for Kanye West, I don't know actually who's worse between voting for Trump or voting for Kanye. It's really difficult for me to say who's worse. I've seen a picture of Kanye like wearing something with a Confederate flag on it, and he's not really respective of African Americans or anybody, and he's got a mental issue for sure. So I don't know who would be the better president. I think that Trump's got some issues as well, obviously. I don't know. I just say they're both bad. I'm just gonna leave it at that. They're both bad. And Kim Kardashian being the first lady, whew, yikes. He could not even be on the ballot in some states because he's so late. And Kanye and Kim are both really stupid people. I'm just gonna say that. Whoever votes for them is as dumb as voting for Trump. I think that. Kanye's running helps Trump's reelection chances by taking votes from Biden, but I don't think he'll take that many votes. I'm hoping. I've seen a couple people like Kanye 2020, but man, people who vote for either one of those guys is really messed up in the head. A potential Biden vice president Atlanta mayor tested positive for coronavirus. The Supreme Court is freaking amazing right now. They're on a streak. I don't really respect this one too much, but the other ones. This one, the Supreme Court places laws in Philadelphia and Georgia that restrict anti-abortion protesters. I don't like that one. But this one, wait, no, the next one. Sorry, there's three Supreme Court rulings I have in here. Supreme Court stated a large swath of eastern Oklahoma upheld as a Native American reservation. I love that one, but this one's the best. The Supreme Court ruled that New York prosecutor may pursue Trump's financial records. That's right, baby. Trump's tax returns can be shown to the public if this New York prosecutor wins his case against Trump. The Supreme Court has allowed this New York prosecutor to look into Trump's financial records and his tax returns, and he'll probably find out that Trump committed mass tax fraud. I saw a story on it, and it looks definitely to be true. Trump's subpoena cases, though, are sent back to lower courts, delaying the release of his records until the presidential election. I don't think this is right because I think they're trying not to play politics, so they don't want to seem like they're super liberal, I guess, and trying to get Trump out. But honestly, I think this one was a bad decision because even though they're allowing the subpoenas to happen, they're just delaying it a bit. I think that this doesn't really make any sense because um, this is a very important thing. Like, if the president is actually a criminal and approved criminal with tax fraud, why would you delay that till after the presidential election? Don't you think people have the right to know if he's a criminal or not? Like, if we find out that he's a criminal after he would get elected, if he got elected in 2020 to 2024, right? We'd have 4 years with someone that we knew was a criminal. So people could easily say, and they already could, but people could easily say if they found out he was a committed tax fraud, and he was a criminal that's in the White House, why would I file taxes if the President of the United States didn't have to for 30 years and probably still doesn't, and he's getting away with it? You know? Creates a lot of problems. Um, I don't know how to say your name. Ghislaine Maxwell was arrested by the FBI in connection with the Jeffrey Epstein investigation. Epstein's longtime friend has been under investigation for facilitating his recruitment of young girls and women. Whew, what a mouthful. Senator Duckworth, a Democrat senator from Illinois, is blocking military confirmations until the Defense Secretary Mark Esper proves that Alexander Vindman will be promoted from lieutenant colonel to colonel. And I'm really proud of my state senator for that and this. Well, after this, Duckworth was asked if statues of George Washington should be removed from owning slaves, and she said there should be a discussion on the issue. I know that this whole statue thing is like really controversial and really divisive and all that kind of thing. But I think it's a little bit different in my opinion. I mean, she has a great opinion, and I respect her opinion. And she's not saying for or against. She just said there should be a discussion on whether George Washington statues should be removed. In my opinion, I believe that they should stay because they're the founding fathers. And when you're talking about Confederate statues, I think that those should stay in museums. But those shouldn't be up as much because they literally left the United States to form their own country because they wanted slavery so much. The founders, yes, they could have gotten rid of slavery when they wrote the Constitution, but slavery was widely accepted back then, and um, they did a lot of good, and slavery wasn't really talked about then. Whereas with the Confederacy, the point was about slavery. So I think it's a little bit different, and but I mean, it is a good question to ask. Like, are the founders really good role models that we should be teaching our children right away if they own slaves? I think that's definitely a fault of the founders. So it's a pretty big conversation right there. Um, Tucker Carlson, though, this stupid Fox News host, decided to jump in on the issue and said that she and other Democrats may hate. No, not may. He said that she and other Democrats hate America. I just want to point out that Duckworth may be a Biden VP choice. I think it's going to be Kamala Harris, but also I want to point out that Duckworth lost both of her legs while fighting in the Iraq War. He's calling a veteran who lost both her legs in a war unpatriotic and against America. The guy who didn't serve in the army, and I'm pretty sure he got rejected from the CIA because he didn't fit qualifications. Biden attacked Trump for the nasty comments sent to Duckworth. Lift Every Voice and Sing, commonly called the Black National Anthem, will be played before the NFL Week 1 games. In my opinion, I respect the Black Lives Matter protests. I agree with them. I support them. I think that we should really be fighting toward equal rights, but I think that this step kind of divides America a little bit more. I don't think this was the best decision to play the Black National Anthem because I really think that there should be just one anthem because it's something that could bring us all together. So I don't think this was the best decision, in my opinion. Stadium sponsor FedEx asked the NFL team, the Washington Redskins, to change their name. The Cleveland Indians may change their name as well. Trump appeases to his bases and opposes the name changes in a racist tweet. He can't accept any positive change or social justice. Excuse me. When the sponsors for the Washington Redskins said to change the name, they're actually looking to change the name now. So, money talks. Thanks. Oh, yes. Kansas City Chiefs signed Patrick Mahomes to a 10-year extension worth $450 million. Nobody. Okay. Yes, I put this in my notes. Okay. The NFL just gives out way too much money. Okay. I don't think these people should make no money. I think they should make pretty good money because they are, a lot of them get hurt pretty bad, and they're playing a national stage, and they're very fit and they have to work very hard to be where they're at. But I think they should be way less paid than they are right now. I mean, this guy Patrick Mahomes is getting $450 million in 10 years. $450 million. Who the hell needs $450 million? You know how much money he really needs? $10 million. You know how much money that is? $10 million. I don't think it's worth for one person to have $450 million. That's more money than he could know what to do with. I don't know. I think it's really stupid. And with that type of contract, if he gets hurt, and he gets guaranteed like 100 million, I think. So if he gets hurt like 3 years into his contract, he could just retire early and say, "Screw it, I'm just gonna keep the money." So I hope that is what happens because that was a very stupid agreement. Yes, with the NHL restart plans, the NHL reached an agreement. I think between the NHL and the Players Union. Playoff games would start August 1st. July 13th would be the start of training camps. Hub cities are Edmonton and Toronto. East Conference teams would play in Toronto. West Conference teams would play in Edmonton. The semifinals and finals would be in Edmonton. An agreement has to be voted on to move forward, I think. And the MLB should be coming back this month. So ICE told students that they have student visa. Sorry, ICE told students that have student visas that if their school goes online, the students must leave the US for the fall semester, politicizing opening schools up, which I think is extremely wrong. Harvard and MIT sued the Trump administration over the new law. Summer Taylor, one of the two demonstrators hit by a car while protesting in Seattle, has died. The other protester was in serious condition. Trump's former attorney, Michael Cohen, is back in custody from serving his time at home because of coronavirus worries, and this is because he broke his home confinement and went out to dinner. I think he's pretty stupid for that. Alright, Tropical Storm Faye formed off of North Carolina coast with 45-mile-per-hour winds. The forecast says it would strengthen and it will likely make landfall in the northeast pretty soon. I think today. TikTok had a bad week. India, TikTok's second biggest market, banned TikTok and many other Chinese apps, said they pose a threat to the sovereignty and integrity. The United States may follow in banning the app because Secretary of State Mike Pompeo said the U.S. would potentially ban the app. Instagram wanted to fill the void with its own video sharing feature called Reels. YouTube is launching its competitor Shorts by the end of the year. TikTok said it was committed to working with the Indian and American governments, and they said they would not and do not provide user data to the Chinese government. Now, I don't know if that's true. I wish it were, but I don't know. But it would be sad to see TikTok go. I mean, if it is a security risk, then obviously it needs to go. But TikTok is a pretty cool app, I have to say. Eminem and Kid Cudi made a new Fire single, and they unloaded on Drew Brees, George Floyd's murder, um, and about people wearing masks, and I think it's a very good song. I mean, it's a pretty good song. I like the message that it sends. I mean, the type of song isn't as much for me, but I do like the message that they're sending. So if you want to hear it, you can check it out. And finally, women's soccer league players and officials knelt during the national anthem, and it was to support the Black Lives Matter movement. Whew, that was a lot of news. I hope you guys appreciated it. If you do, please like and subscribe, and I will get back to you shortly. Have a nice rest of your day. Bye.